Like International Policy Network, and he joins me now in the studio. Do you think the message is diluted there because there are so many messages?
Well, clearly it's somewhat vague. I mean, the title of the march, Put People First, is sound. I mean, who can object to putting people first? But the various messages that they're trying to put out, I think, are in some ways contradictory. I mean, it's quite possible that if the world did go hell for leather now to try and reduce carbon emissions, we would actually have a negative effect on the economy. So that would harm people, not only people in rich countries, but especially people in poor countries. And in fact, it's not really very likely to take place, precisely because China and India don't want to go down that path. They want development. And in the past 20 years, they've had development. In China and India alone, about 500 million people have been brought out of poverty by free trade, by the capitalism that some of these protesters seem to object to. So there's sort of a weird contrast between what is reality and what the protesters seem to be saying.
And I suppose the mixed messages from the protesters also reflect the mixed messages from some of the G20 countries themselves.
Sure. I mean, actually, you've got Angela Merkel, who seems to be very resistant to the policies that Gordon Brown is promoting. And they're two very key members of the G20 that are going to be, I think, in strong conflict over the next few years, the next few days. I mean, Angela Merkel is very critical of the bailout programs, the massive fiscal stimuli that are being proposed, and is also very concerned about the quantitative easing that England and the United States are moving forward with, this massive printing of money, effectively, both of which, both this fiscal stimuli and the printing of money, are likely to lead to both inflation on the one hand and also massive increases in public debt, which are going to create problems down the road as we try and pay that back. So, I mean, one can understand Angela Merkel's resistance to those messages, and I think that she's right, and the US and the UK are probably going down the wrong path.
What would you expect to come out of this G20?
Well, I think that the best that we can hope for is a strong commitment to free trade. I mean, on the other issues, on things like the fiscal stimuli, monetary quantitative easing and so on, I think we're going to get a very bland statement. But I think that if we can get anything decent out of this, it will be a commitment to removing trade barriers. We've seen over the past 20, 30 years that the removal of trade barriers helps lift the poorest people out of poverty. If we really are concerned about getting the whole global economy back on track and improving the lives of the poor, that will be the one thing that they could agree on that would make sense.
Okay, Julian Morris, thanks for coming in. Thank you.